to Guyana, see what is going on. I'm praying to you, dear God, please watch my homeland. Guyana getting destroyed by election corruption. Guyana is a beautiful country, we know, but so much fraud than we ever see before. They're fighting for the oil and causing confusion. Only one who's suffering is the poor man. Oh my God, oh where have you gone? Come to Guyana, see what is going on. Seriously, humbly appealing for peace and unity. The people in the country now start to segregate. All of the love now turning to hate. Some of our people, they losing their lives. No more martyrs, no life but sacrifice. Calling everybody, let's live in unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Oh my God, oh where have you gone? Come to Guyana, see what is going on. At the top knocking glass and they happy. While we fighting for them, we live like enemies. Some of them greedy and power hungry. They tipping the election on live TV. They need to stop and open their eyes and they will see. We only can go forward with peace and harmony. Oh my God, oh where have you gone? Come to Guyana, see what is going on. Oh my God, oh where have you gone? Come to Guyana, see what is going on. Come to Guyana, see what is going on. Six races, let's unite together. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of many waters, we live in together. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of six races, let's unite together. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of many waters, we bathe in together. Us her food, banga Mary Hassa, shrimp and gilbaka. On our land, she gave us our bread, planting cassava, rice and sugar. Those are the few that Guyana grew to feed her children like me and you. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of six races, let's unite together. You Guyana, me Guyana. Land of many waters, we bathe in together. Guyana, 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 and I love you so. Guyana, 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 and I love you so. From Naikuni to Waichuni, from Mahaiga to Batika, and I love you so. Yeah. From Mataruni to Karuni, from Shiltam to Jaja, and I love you so. From
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio and on Facebook Live. It's such a good afternoon. It's such a beautiful weather outside. I know you guys all have to stay inside, especially if you are in the United States. You know, today is a very special day for a young lady, Vishwani. Today it's her 13th birthday, and I want to take this time to wish Vishwani happy birthday, my dear. May God continue to bless you and guide you in life, okay? Here we have a beautiful birthday song for Vishwani. Happy 13th birthday to you. Let's go.
नाचे गाए आज मस्ती भरी शाम है आओ झूमे नाचे गाए आज मस्ती भरी शाम है.
We are celebrating happy birthday to Vishwani. She is 13 years old today. It's Geeta's niece.
एक राजा का ऐलान है. Happy birthday, oh happy birthday to you. It's a happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Well, good afternoon and welcome back again to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. You know, tonight we have a great discussion with Albert Baldeo. He is stuck in traffic and he's on his way. Should be here in next 10-15 minutes. I have some very good questions. I'm setting up some good arguments to what's really going on in Guyana and what next step, the things that we can really do to make a difference in Guyana and how we deal with this, I would say, catastrophe in Guyana with the elections. But before, I want to say hello to Salima Prasad. Thank you very much for tuning in. And she's saying, everyone, and be safe from the virus. Yes, absolutely. Please keep your hands away from your face. Make sure you wash your hands often. And don't forget to always put some Vaseline or some hand cream on your hands. You don't want to damage your hands, okay? While you're washing it away, you want to make sure you put the hand cream so you could keep it nice and soft. I see Lily Carr, thank you very much for tuning in. Michael Nalini Naidu, thank you very much. And she's saying happy birthday to Vishwani. Nafisa Noor, always a pleasure having you on the Ken Rampersaud Show. Joy Rambaran, thank you very much for tuning in. Asha Mohanlal, thank you very much for tuning in. I see Rajan Narayan, thank you, my brother, for tuning in. Nalini Prasa Singh, thank you very much for tuning in. It was good chatting with you today. Hope all is well with you. Prem Bishal, thank you very much for tuning in. I know your face. I saw you on Facebook before. And to my very good friend, Roxanne Walker Hamilton, thank you very much, my dear, for tuning in on the Ken Rampersaud Show. And please continue to share. And thanks to all that you're doing for this show. You are sharing it to so many pages and to so many groups. I'm so glad that you're doing it. I see Bibi Ratmatullah. Well, she is the mother of the little child whose birthday is today. She is in studio. And good evening to you, Nafisa Noor. Pat Sahadeo, you make me smile when I read your comment, but thank you very much. Good to have you on. Mahendra Bechu, thank you very much for tuning in. Shari Mohammed, thank you very much. Nalini Singh again. Let's see. Nalo Search Paul, she is watching all the way from Ajax in Ontario, Canada. It's always good to have you on, and thank you very much. Harry P. Tulsi, thank you very much for watching. Rajiv Nandalal, he is in studio today, and he's watching on. So I'm going to ask DJ to play another song in just a minute. Debbie Sanyasi, she's saying, good afternoon to everyone. Bina Madhu, thank you very much for tuning in. And, you know, tonight the man who's playing the song for us is Arvinder Kedarnath, known as Selector Bolt. He's with me every Monday night with Chit Chat with Shanaz and Ken, and with me every Sunday afternoon on the Ken Rampersaud Show. But today is a special edition because of the elections in Guyana. So, Selena John, thank you very much, and good night to you too. Let's go for a nice song. You know, as he's playing Night Nurse, and I want to big up all the nurses in the world. I know they're doing a fantastic job, especially at this time with the coronavirus. Be safe. Please make sure you practice all your hand washing technique and your precaution from getting the virus.
Tell her try your best just to make it quick.
And we have the chief nurse, the ex-chief nurse of Guyana, Miss Tarmati Barker. Thank you very much for tuning in.
'Cause there must be something she can do. This heart is broken in two. Tell her it's a case of emergency. There's a patient by the name of Gregory. Night nurse, only you alone can quench this thirst. My night nurse, oh gosh, oh the pain is getting worse. I don't wanna see no doctor. I need attendance from my nurse around the clock. 'Cause there's no prescription for me. She's the one, the only remedy.
Hello baby, can you come over? Right now loneliness taking over. Me need you tonight, yeah me lover. Come warm me up under the cover. Make me rock till the lampshade turn over. Rub me chest, rest your head on my shoulder. I make me listen some Anita Baker. Make love till we wake up the neighbor. Girl, you're all I need, and I'm always missing you. Miss you, baby. Miss you. I need your tenderness. I can't you, baby. Me miss you, miss you, miss you. You look me up, squeeze me tight and close. Come here, make me brace you for me king size course. Me and you forever, girl, now go the ghost. We toast to long life, we are prosper the most. Love you to a voice when you call me name. Over and over, she scream again. In my arms, me want you to remain till the sunshine come out again. Girl, you're all I need, and I'm always missing you, miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you, baby, miss you, miss you. Give me just one more night, girl, one more night, 'cause I can't live without you. One more night, yeah, give me one more night, girl, a million more nights, 'cause I can't sleep without you. Alright, 'cause every day me say me want you in my life. Come in now have to wake if you know the day by my side. I beg you oblige while I'm a pride, girl. Me world so cold without you and me feelings can't hide them. Remember when you say you need me all day. Make love from the room to inna the hallway, girl. Me no really want to learn the hard way. Me no afraid to say please, girl, stay. One more night, give me just one more night, girl, one more night, 'cause I can't live without you. One more night, yeah, give me one more night, girl, a million more nights, 'cause I can't sleep without you. Remember when you miss me, call me and tell me say you want to see me. Me never reach in time.
Flowing, 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 flowing when you say you're going. Oh, this can't go on, but you're fantastic. Boy, you're marvelous. Your positions got me delirious. Damn, I fell for you. There's no breaking up. Don't wanna share you, but if I must, I must. Oh, I'm gonna love you when you're here with me, and love you when you're gone. Situation so wrong, but babe, the love is so strong. Enough to love you when you're here with me, and love you when you're gone. Into another girl's arms. I deserve better, but baby, better makes me sad. Why you give me pleasure, so I'll keep holding on. They say love is blind. Well, it must be, 'cause I can't see you in without me. If you don't leave her, I'll be staying. That's the way love goes. Sometimes it's sharing. Oh, I'm gonna love you when you're here with me, and love you when you're gone. Situation so wrong, but babe, the love is so strong. Enough to love you when you're here with me, and love you when you're gone. Into another girl's arms. I don't know who you choose, who you choose, who you choose. Somebody's gotta win, somebody's gotta lose. And I don't know just what you do, just what you do, and who decides to stay.
Well, good afternoon, back again, and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show. I have in guest in studio here today is no other than Albert Baldeo. You know, he's no stranger. So go ahead.
How are you doing? Welcome to the show again. It's a pleasure again to be here. Ken, continue a good job. And we thought it was very important because, you know, Guyana's at a crossroads.
Right.
And it's at a crossroads of coronavirus. It's at the crossroads of a dictatorship, an imploding and impending dictatorship by the APNU regime. And we're really at the crossroads, or really at a road where the rubber meets the road. And we're here to shed light on that, and also about what's going on with the coronavirus. And one of the things we're finding happening in our community here in Richmond Hill is that there's a lot of price gouging.
Really?
You know, the governor said you can probably charge up to 10% for your carrying costs to get stuff here. Mm-hmm. But there's people who's hoarding stuff, and people who some groceries and so forth, who are, are charging a lot.
Wow.
Twice the amount. And in Guyana, it reminded me of what happened in the Burnham days of flour and sardine, and you had to line up for this and line up for that, and you couldn't get this, and you had to know somebody, this was the thing there, yeah.
Before you go, and I see Samuel Harichan is saying good afternoon to you.
Oh, that's my
your cousin.
Yeah, Samuel, how are you? Pleasure to see you. And
yes,
pleasure to
yes.
for Mana Katrina, yeah.
Oh, yes?
Yes,
oh, okay, Samuel.
My father's sister, my father would have been 90 today. His mother's Esther.
Yes,
He's
yes.
in Canada, so greetings to the Harry Chan family, and also from Uncle Harry, who was my father, who we celebrate his 90th birthday. Of course, my father is deceased, but his memory and his struggles also live on.
I know. I should know Samuel because Samuel, I'm from Lenora, and I know your brother very well, and I know the church that he used to go to. But go ahead.
James, right?
Right, James Harry Chan.
James Harry Chan, right.
I went to the same school, actually, where he was teaching.
Yes. They're a very well-known family, the Christian Catholic Church. Also, there's a price gouging going on, and, a lot of these places, you have flour, rice, and so on being hoarded. So there's a Consumer Affairs hotline. It's 800-697-1220. That's 800-800-697-1220. Or you can call 311 and report it, because if all these groceries and pharmaceuticals are going to up the prices, then it's really going to strangle the people here, and it's happening across the world. So we've got to get a handle on this. And second, of course, we got to be safe, and we're doing this and taking a chance with the coronavirus.
Yes.
Because of the pressing need.
That's right.
No use you are healthy and your people are suffering in Guyana, and people are dying there, and people are being attacked and deprived of the most basic fundamental right. We being here to stand up and fight, me and Ken, as you can see, I still have the Guyana flag at half mast. That means Guyana, we are mourning with Guyana. We are mourning the death or the impending death of democracy in Guyana. And when that is restored, hopefully very soon, then we will resume to fly the Guyana flag at full staff. So this is a symbolic gesture of what's going on, a symbolic support, solidarity with the Guyanese people which we're from, and hoping that very soon they can have some kind of, we can have the return of democracy. And that is where we're up to on this so far.
One thing I have to let people know too, and I want to say thank you, Albert, for your level of commitment towards, letting people know in Guyana and elsewhere what's going on in Guyana. To keep people, especially here in New York,
right.
What's going on, to other grassroots people, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So I want to say thank you very much for doing that.
Oh, yes, and thank you, too, for making the time available, because you could be somewhere else, too,
It's all right.
And you could be catching a hand with some overtime, and, you're a nurse, and also one of your many abilities. You are what you call an all-rounder, You have a lot of abilities, and different in a cricket team, you'll be invaluable. And hence you could be, and therefore you take the time off to bring news to them. I also got calls from Guyana about how we're region 11, actually. Is it 10 regions of Guyana,
10 regions, right?
Yeah, we're region 11. We're the most influential, the largest region of Guyana, and this is a region that counts. This place in Richmond was not called Little Guyana for joke.
All right.
This is Little Guyana. When you go from home to home, you think you're in Guyana, you see the Jandy flags, you see the kitchen gardens, you see the little hammocks. It's just like in Guyana, just so everything.
Yes.
Everything. This is like Little Guyana, like in Barbados. So, we're part of Guyana too. And of having our nail trim where there, Canada, I always tell people, we are just as Guyanese as everybody else. So they can't take away our birthright from us.
Absolutely. Let me say hello to someone, and then we'll get to some serious discussion. Maureen Ramcharan, thank you very much for watching. Arjuna Madre, thank you very much for watching. Sahdi Kedarnath, Kemnath Sukram, guy from Iflut on the west coast of Demerara. Michael Nalini Naidu, be safe, everyone, she's saying. Let's see. Salima Prasad, thank you very much for watching, and she's saying welcome to Mr. Albert Baldeo.
Thank you.
Yes. Roxanne, your good friend, Roxanne Hamilton Walker, she's saying hi to you.
Hello, Roxanne, how you doing? She is also the most loyal member of the show. We have to have a special price for Roxanne. She's always tuning in.
Yes,
she
always. She's going to work, but one of the good things that she shared the page to a lot of groups and so on.
Right, so everybody keeps informed.
Yes.
Right.
Jane Bajan, thank you very much. Let's see, we have Debbie Sanyasi, Sharon Nadira Kublal, thank you very much. Who else we have? Babita Sanichar, thank you very much. Salima John. So let's, I didn't say I'm going to ask you this question, but there's so many ways I want to open this here tonight. And special hello to a special young lady, Teresa Singh. Thanks for tuning in and for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show. And how I want to start this show. With the no confidence motion, Charan Das. In your opinion, he was a PNU guy. On making that decision to go with the PPP, to make that number one 35 count, right? What's your take with the decision that he made to say this is enough? What you guys are doing, it's no good for the people of Guyana, especially the sugar workers in Berbice.
Correct. Well, I think Sharon Das exercised his conscience. It was a conscience vote. I think he needs to be complimented. I think he's a hero for doing that, and I salute him. He stood up. Not many people have the backbone in Guyana to stand up, and Sharon Das is one of them. He's a hero. Sharon Das said, and he told Camarade Ramdetan that his people were not being taken care of. They don't even get a chance. We're just rubber stamps here. All you guys sit on the table having the quote-unquote steak and, the fancy things. And we're on the fringes. You don't consult with us. It's not representative democracy. And democracy must be from the bottom coming up, not from top down. So Sharon Das set a precedent that is very much appreciated. That's how people have to represent. You have to favor your constituents. And the same thing in Richmond, the same thing that we have to do. You have to take it to the leaders. This is what your people want. This is what they demand. You have to follow the will and the mandate of your people. And so a guy was calling me just now, and to help in my campaign and so on. And they know we have a lot of issues here. For example, in Richmond Hill, we have issues with police profiling. They targeted us, basement violations. The billing department is coming after us unnecessarily. There were people burning Jandi flags. There are sensitive issues like this. There are police spying on masjids and trying to make the people terrorists. So what I'm saying, Ken, is that what is important to our community, we want Diwali to be a holiday. We've been fighting for this. What is important to a community may not be important to another. You go to Howard Beach, they would say, well, we don't even know what's Diwali. We don't care. We don't care about basements. It's modern art. It's legal here. And if the law is like that, they don't see the discrimination. They don't see the advantage being taken on immigrants. When Trump talks about deporting immigrants, they couldn't care because they are generations they've been here. But the typical Guyanese person would be saying, I'm really scared about this and so on. My children born here, they'll say they're not American citizens. This is terrible. So we have had a situation where every community needs representation. And it's the same thing with Sharon Das with the sugar workers in Guyana. He fought for his people, and he gave them the no confidence vote. He stood up, and I salute him. And we should not be putting this man down and saying he took bribe because he did that. I think that Granger needs to be a little bit like Sharon Das and have some backbone now, because we got to that later. The things are circling him right now.
Yeah, and I, sometimes I wonder what Sharon Das is thinking now after he see what's going on in Guyana with the election process. As I was preparing I was reading all morning, and I was thinking some of the questions I would ask you, and transparency came into my mind. And when I think of transparency, I think about honesty and openness. Transparency and accountability are the general. That's the two pillars of good governance.
Correct.
And my question to you is, and I would ask this in any government, are you seeing this in Guyana? Honesty, openness, accountability. What's your take?
Right now?
Yes,
listen,
yes.
Man, we have sung to a new low. What we have going on there is the worst possible situation you could probably imagine. And this thing is getting more and more. I use the term clown show. This has gone beyond that. This has gone to the point of so ridiculous. Let's take it from where we are. From March the 2nd, we had the elections.
Right.
And then you've had, so many weeks have passed. That must be something of a record that we have not had the decisions yet. And then we've had situations where a judge's orders twice was flouted by Mingo. This lunatic Mingo. And then Mingo is according on to himself some kind of powers that he doesn't have. This man should be in jail, Mingo. He should be charged with treason. I don't know where the DPP is. Again, I call upon the DPP to prosecute these people. These people are hijacking the entire election. They're stealing it. They're flouting the law. They're creating the most horrible crimes. They're depriving 750,000 people and the diaspora over here, and their relatives are concerned. They're causing no less than the Mike Pompeo, who's the Secretary of State, right up to Trump and the OAS and the Carter Center and the European nations and Canada and UK. All
and
these
India,
people are coming
India
out.
is talking about it now too.
Then you got Sonny Ramphel talked against them, and Sonny Ramphel he's more of a PNC person. He owes his elevation from Burnham. Burnham appointed him. He was a bright, brilliant man. There's no doubt Sonny is one of the most brilliant lawyers Guy has produced. But where I'm disappointed in Sonny is that Guyana gave him what he is. He's probably the Guyanese of most international stature.
Wow.
He was the Commonwealth Secretary General. He walked with kings and queens across the world, and he was respected. And what he did for other countries, he has not been doing for his own country. I think it's a shame that someone of the stature of Sonny Rampersaud has not seen it fit to put more pressure on the government. He was in the Burnham, government. He helped to draft the Constitution and so on. He represented us at highest diplomatic levels, and he should at least come. So you have people like Sonny Rampersaud, Granger's son-in-law Gaskin, Joe Singh, one of the foremost military people Guyana has produced. You have Silal, who was a former commissioner of police. These are all law and order men of distinction and men of courage, men who have had a distinguished public career. So if you're not going to listen to these people, and there's several others, they elude me at the moment, but all the parties have come together, all the embassies have come together, the whole world has come together, and Granger is still not knowing where he is or pretending to be this, this guy who's got amnesia.
Right. Well, I think it's six other parties,
right,
small parties.
More or less
they're asking for a recount. To count these ballot boxes. And talking about that, we know that after that confidence motion, the case was brought up by the CCJ, right?
Right.
So they were supposed to follow the rules of the CCJ, right? Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Right.
And I was wondering to know, since isn't there any other body that could have enforced the rules and the regulation of Guyana and the Caribbean, if you know what I mean?
Oh, you mean jurisdiction?
Yes.
Legally, that's the highest court that Guyana can go to. We don't go to the Privy Council anymore in that sense, and then we don't go to the House of Lords and before. And that comes with independence. You see, Guyana have got to realize that we're an independent nation.
Absolutely.
And you talked about democracy, you talked about being a cooperative republic. There's a big fancy name. When you tell people you're from the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, they say, wow, you must be rich country. That's a real great country. That's what superpower. Now, when you do the research, you hear about Joe and Stang, and now they make it worse. Now you're going to hear about this. Oh, you from the mudland, you from the place that had thief election, and then they blame us. Not knowing we're the victims. We are the victims of all these things where you can't get food to eat and sardine and basic common foodstuffs and human rights, and you have hooliganism and choke and rob. Choke and rob is only known for Guyana.
Well, I was choke and rob years ago,
right,
like
but
I
here
told
was the
you.
thing. When your country is associated with a distinguishing term like choke and rob, which is very clear to people what choke and rob means, you got a problem there, and Joe and Stang, which was an American thing. The Americans go and do what they had to do there. They had nothing to do with Guyanese. But you ask a typical American, too, if he knows about Guyana, he can tell about Joe and Stang as if we had anything to do with it. Well, what I'm telling you, Ken, is that we have borne the stigma of being Guyanese unfairly. Now that we're independent, and you had a hero, Cherry Jagan. You talk about Charandas. We talk about the ultimate hero, Cherry Jagan. Cherry Jagan endured 28 years out of office, where elections were stolen from this man. And he stood and fought to the end until he became president in 1992. There's no other world leaders had to endure that. Nelson Mandela, one of the foremost icons in political history, Nelson Mandela was imprisoned in Robben Island for 27 years. He was similarly like Jagan. When you think of Mandela, you must think of Cherry Jagan, because Cherry Jagan had a similar 28 years. It's a whole lifetime for a man to be deprived of his, and he won all these elections, and he bore it. He always called for peace. He never wanted people to die, and because he knew that the hooligans and the thugs would take advantage. The same thing that's going on now, Cherry had predicted. But Cherry was able to get governance in 1992, but unfortunately he died soon after. But he will always be remembered as the father of the nation because of what he stood for, what he did. And these people should take a page from his book, Granger and all these people, these ministers that want to, to become thing. And I know all of them, and I'll make a public call to them. They started with me, Basil Williams, Aubrey Boston, Claudette Singh was before me. And then you've had Kenneth George's daughter, the Roxanne George, who's the Chief Justice there. all of these people have got to have some pride, some judicial or legal pride. We're a law-served society. You can't just be in a case because you want a political advantage or you want a confirmative senior counsel or Queen's counsel. You must be there for peace and order. Your foremost duty as a lawyer is to preserve peace and tranquility in a society. When you file these frivolous lawsuits and you go judge shopping and you move it from Kenneth George, from Roxanne George, the Chief Justice, to Stevenson, who is the father-in-law of a candidate, Axel something is his name, but it's all over there. His son-in-law was a candidate on the APNU list. He ought to have not be on the case. Like I told you the last thing, he's supposed to have disqualified recuse himself. And I'll tell you his name, Astel Collins from the APNU list, and he works with Joseph Harmon.
Yes.
Harmon used to live over here. He knows that this is not the way democracy is upheld. And these guys should understand is that this is not, that they will suffer. They're going to laugh and joke in court, and man, they'll give you an injunction, blah, blah. But it's the people who are suffering. It's the people who are going to feel a pinch. It's a coronavirus going to step in, and this is the problem we're facing.
My next question is, isn't there someone like the Chief Justice who could step in and says, you know what, there is a conflict of interest. There is an attorney here who is related to the government who is going to sit on this case. Can we ask him to excuse himself from this case?
I thought about that, and that's a point apparently that everyone seems to not think much about, but they ought to, because no one can be a judge in their own cause. Justice must be done, and not only be done, but appear to be done. And you have a judge who has a vested interest or a connection like that. Judges have recused themselves. It is a proper thing to do. Holder does not belittle himself by declining jurisdiction or by saying, well, another judge has to hear this. He enhances his reputation of a judge. He must be proud to do that. He must have the backbone to do it. He must have the conscience to do it. It's nothing that diminishes him and say, oh, well, this judge here is he had to recuse himself. People take the ego of people in Guyana. It's too big for such a small country. When you come to America and you see the judicial system and you work and you do cases and so on, you understand that the law is the law. You don't take onto yourself these things, false aggrandizement and grandstanding, and say, well, I'm the most powerful judge in the world. I'm going to do any case. And no, you can't do that. You had a judge like that, Judge Barnwell. He used to bark. He never, he used to come from the registry and bark like a fool. And people used to laugh at him. He was a bright judge. We would talk whole day and listen to his voice. Talk whole day. And people used to look at him and say, hear this clong show. Mutter under your breath. He would never stop talking because he liked to hear his voice. Then he'll go on and on. He'd cite Latin and try to share foolishness sometimes. Rant and rave, you call that. So what I'm saying, Ken, is this. That judge should have recused himself. He would have felt better. The Chief Justice should have stepped in also and said, I'm already hearing this case. This case was seized to me, and we don't need to have this other case. Consolidated, hear it. But this judge, now he started playing games. He's playing this game out to the coronavirus situation. The canister is being moved. People are trying to break into the canister, from what I hear. They're young people, and these are people of all races that are guarding these canisters and want to preserve the vote. This is what these people don't seem to see.
Yes.
If you look at the YouTube, and thank God we have internet, you can see all these things and all the reports we're getting. It is the very fabric of the Guyanese youth that has the 6 races there. And Granger and company should see that this is not like just Indians or Armenians. This is everybody.
Yeah. How do you show justice? And, they say treat people the way you want to be treated. You take turns, tell the truth, play by the rules, think about how your actions will affect others, listen to people with an open mind, don't blame others for your mistake, don't take advantage of other people, don't play favorite. If I be honest with you, all these rules about justice, I haven't seen any one of them really taking place in Guyana. And since we were talking about the ballot boxes, we know that yesterday they moved the ballot boxes to the GDF compound yesterday. I was wondering to know why, and I know there was a camera that was pointing to these boxes. And one would think that it's a good thing that you have a camera watching these ballot boxes and watching these containers.
Correct.
Why did they move these things to the GDF compound? I know that the government do have more power when it's there. You know what I'm saying? It's in their hands. What's your take?
It's very sinister, and it's most unpardonable. And the reason is very obvious. You have a man named B. Pat, a prominent businessman in Guyana. I knew him well, and he has these cameras already there in his house. And then they put the canisters there and move it there. They were quite unhappy with the fact that there's a third party, independent, neutral third party, who can then give the footage of that camera if they try to break into the box. You had lunatic Mingo trying to do his own math. But apparently he wasn't good at math in school, so his math became like a joke. He was taken off from the PPP side, and he was putting on to the APNU side, and he got himself in a mess. Then he had some projector where he couldn't see, and he said he complied with the Chief Justice. There and then the Chief Justice should have cited him for contempt and locked him up. She should have put him in jail.
You know, you talk about that, and from what I was reading, I heard that it took some Vaseline. Well, when they decide to go under the shed, and to read
the cow dung shed,
the shed
and
to
some mosquito and spray them for coronavirus.
I was surprised to hear that they took some Vaseline and they rub it on the lens of the camera, so people could not have seen clearly what's going on there. And the other thing that and I can't say, and I have to be fair, in court yesterday, I couldn't wait. I was at work. My phone was all fired up, ready, waiting for this case to start at 9 o'clock. And surprisingly, there was nothing showing.
Correct.
I see one of the guy from the news saying that only 2 people allowed to go in there and see.
That's a big problem.
You know, Albert, and I tell you, I want to be fair. Because of the coronavirus, they're trying to follow the rules and regulation. I could take that for granted. And you know, as a nurse, I said, okay, let's go with that. But why there was no camera in there for the people to see outside or across the world?
Correct. Well, listen, this is where the comedy of errors continues, but it's actually a grave tragedy. And like you said, we have to comment on this. There is a constitutional right to counsel in all advanced and civilized countries, in all basic countries, in Africa, India, Australia, wherever there is the due process and the rule of law, the right to counsel is a fundamental right. It's enshrined in the Constitution of Guyana. A judge cannot say, well, I'm going to give you 2 lawyers per person, I'm not going to allow you to be heard. That in itself is a ground for appeal. That is a defective, fatally defective decision from the very beginning. Ab initio, you call it in law. From the very beginning, it's void. And him denying counsel to these litigants and carrying on this show and not recusing himself and not allowing the Chief Justice to handle the case and then prolonging this thing to next week, Wednesday, shows that he perhaps too is in contempt of the Chief Justice's order. I have not done enough research yet to find out whether a Chief Justice can put a fellow judge in jail for contempt of court. But it seems to me that that judge is bordering or walking a very fine line in terms of doing what he pleases, doing what his handlers are telling him to do, and then, not allowing the case to be objectively heard. But coming back to this thing now, you put this projector in broad daylight, you put the Vaseline on it, like that's why it's not showing. Mingo is ranting and raving and giving out numbers. His numbers don't make any sense. Like I said, apparently he was a very poor math student. Apparently, though, since he's 65, this has exposed the lack of mathematical education in a lot of people in Guyana. This is basic math, and they still don't understand that the majority of 65, what it is, 33. And I've always said we've got to add 1 more for some kind of Roundup something. I don't know if it's Roundup they were spraying in the thing, but it beggars imagination that here you are, you move the canister, you move it out of the cameras, you move it out of the public domain, you carry it to some other place. And by the way, there was a guy weeding grass at 1 o'clock in the morning around the canister. Yes. So why is the guy...
That doesn't sound good at all.
Why is he making all this noise? Why is he creating a distraction? Or is it a cover of noise where you're going to have some kind of other intrusion to the cats? Because whilst you're looking there, like I told you with the man with the banana, right? When as soon as he turned his head, they take the banana. For 1 second, you wander with a bunch of ripe bananas.
Yeah, you tell me the story.
So if you create a diversion and you're cutting grass at 1 o'clock in the night, the people say, who's this crazy man? But these guys are not stupid. They realize that this was a distraction. And now you have people falling ballot boxes and camping out, correct?
Right.
They're camping out there. So I would invite all the ministers there, all of them, to go and see who are the people camping out. It's the very people you claim to represent that is telling you you need to honor democracy or give votes count, whether you're black, blue, brown, pink, or who, or white. We need to see our votes counted. Are we going to follow this thing to the end? We're going to be behind it, and we're not going to give up. The same thing that the American people, they feel that if they get rid of the observers, that's the end of the game. CARICOM is not left permanently. Jakarta is not left permanently. And these folks and these centers are sending reports. It's not like they just pull out the Guyana and say, well, same headache, normal story, I'm gone, I'm out of this. No, they're sending very, very substantial reports to the President of the United States, to the U.S. Congress for sanctions, to Mike Pompeo, and all these people. Even recently, just a few minutes ago, we talk about this top in the Western Hemisphere. You have a top diplomat there, Michael Kozak. Michael Kozak is the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Western Hemisphere Affairs Assistant Secretary Michael Kozak. And Kozak is saying that GCOM has a responsibility to ensure that all votes are counted. He's going to make sure it's here and transfer the power, credible election. Democratic nations can't ignore this blatant thing and disregard for the rule of law. So the world is watching. These are not de facto regimes do not receive the same treatment from us as democratically elected governments. You can't play with the American government. They have wide powers. They can freeze your assets. They can stop the visas for a start from all these people coming here. I've had ministers call me from Guyana when they come here. I may not be getting those calls anymore. They got a call from WhatsApp. No, because they could stop them in the airport. They put you on a blacklist. You can't come into the country anymore. You like to come to America, you got to shop in Barbados. And Mia Motley might say, man, I'll put you on a blacklist too. So what I'm saying is that these things can affect a lot of people. Their family can also be affected. Their sponsorship can also be affected. And then they can ratchet up and freeze their bank account, seize their assets. You know how Roger Khan was sort of like apprehended in Suriname and Trinidad, I think, when he went to Suriname. If these people are on a blacklist, they can probably be arrested for this kind of treason behavior, for electoral malfeasance, for butchering their people, for violation of human rights. And you asked me a question about international courts of justice and so on. There are many courts, United Nations and so on, that have their own bodies. But you see, jurisdictionally, it has to be done in Guyana. We have our own court of appeal there, And then you go back and bother Mr. Sanders. And Mr. Sanders, Justice Sanders is very clear, the head of the CCJ. He has told Guyana clearly, you need to, this is not rocket science. This is a very simple thing. You got to go back. There's a bogus motion you bring here. The no confidence vote survived. And go and hold the elections. They have tried to postpone it as much as possible. And now they put Guyana in this very, very bad situation. Not themselves, but the poor people.
I see the EU says, call on all stakeholders to complete the electoral process in a credible and transparent way in accordance with legal requirements. That's a good thing.
And the same thing everybody's saying says they're going very hard at them now.
Yeah, I'm going to give some shout out. In the meantime, I'm going to ask the DJ to play a song. In the meantime, we're going to catch our breath. And I have a letter from Inshan Ali that he wrote. And a couple of things really stand out for me, which I'll read out to you guys and you can explain. So, yes, good evening to Rosalind. Thank you for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show. Selector Abid, thank you for tuning in. Amrit Kumar, thank you for watching. Kusum Narain, thank you. Nalini said they will sink. They will ship it next to Cuba. Geeta Singh, thank you for watching. We have my cousin Agnes Brownfall. She's watching from Metamirzog in Guyana. Shif Charan, thank you for watching. Bibi Haq, thank you very much. Maureen, thank you again. Neela Pawaru Narain, thank you. Hello to the family. And to my little friend, take it easy. I have my friend John is watching from Suriname. He said the flag is still flying half-mast. Yes.
Oh, that's with me.
Yes.
Oh, good. Symbol, yes.
Yes. John
Symbols are very important.
He is in Suriname. Jasoda Takordin watching all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. And good evening to you too. Maria Harris, she is watching. Thank you, Maria. She's saying good night to my friend John. Let's see who else we have. John saying good night to you, to Albert.
Good night, good night. Oh, John?
John Nimmat. Yeah, no. John from Suriname.
Oh, John. Okay. Surinamese John.
And yes, and Arjuna Madre says you forgot to mention about the raping of the woman in Guyana. I see my son Ken Rampersaud is watching too. Chateau Deuda, thank you for watching. You guys keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. We are trying to keep the foot on the pedal. Hope it makes a difference. Shelley Bacchus, thank you for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show. He said good night. Nadira Prashad said good night, sir. Thank you for our country, Guyana democracy. God bless, blessings flow upon all the supporters fighting for Guyana. And it's true, we have to say thank you to all those who come in day and night to watch these ballot boxes. You know, and you said something. They're camping out and they're holding out. And from what I'm hearing, Albert, we have a lot of young people watching these boxes, and from every race.
Correct.
Indian, blacks, Chinese,
me a lot.
And that's a good thing. And another thing that come to my memory, I think in the next election we have, which is in 2025,
yes,
I think we will see things differently in Guyana in terms of people running for elections, because we will see a different race. Different races entering. It's not going to just be the PPP
Correct.
and the PNC.
More united government.
More united government. We have the Amerindians coming out of the hinterlands area, so
Correct.
we will see a lot of difference. So let's go for another song.
कभी अलविदा ना कहना, कभी अलविदा ना कहना. Way back. Together. प्यार करते करते हम तुम कहीं को जाएंगे इन ही बहारों के आंचल में तक के सो जाएंगे प्यार करते करते हम तुम कहीं को जाएंगे इन ही बहारों के आंचल में तक के सो जाएंगे सपनों चाहते रहना कभी अलविदा ना कहना कभी जब आती है रुख पे जवानी तब बनती है प्रेम कहानी में एक लड़का होता है एक लड़की होती है कभी दोनों हंसते हैं कभी दोनों रोते हैं कहानी में एक लड़का होता है एक लड़की होती है कभी दोनों हंसते हैं कभी दोनों रोते हैं
That's the Wave Band. Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. So, Albert, I know that people have been calling out on call on the government to do to recount these boxes, especially for Region 4. And we know Rudy Inshan Ali wrote a nice letter to the government, and this is what he says. And some of the things, I would not be reading the whole letter, but there are some things that I highlighted that I want us to discuss. Former Guyana Minister of Foreign Affairs, Rudy Inshan Ali, has urged President Granger to remain faithful to his promise of ensuring a recount of vote cast in March 2nd, 2020, general and regional election in order to bring an end to the current political crisis gripping the country. In an open letter to President Granger, the former diplomat warned that government and individuals who refuse to comply with the rules and norms of responsible governance are routinely condemned by others, both states and international organizations, and face the sanction reserved for those found guilty of non-compliance. As you know, he's a retired diplomat from Guyana. I believe that you know me well enough to accept my message as impartial, sincere, and intend only to prevent a descent into arch. Having met you on several occasions and read some of your public statements, I was persuaded that you were committed to take Guyana forward in the united effort to secure our peace and prosperity. It seems, though, from media reports that your intentions appear to have been thwarted by forces within your party. Rumors have gone as far as suggest that there is a conspiracy, a cabal, as you said, of your collaborators who have other aims in mind. I remain hopeful, though, that those who have reign of power will come together to save our people, many of whom are sick and tired of being misled by their democratically elected leaders. I pray that our two main political parties will unite to transform our society so that all races can be assured of equality and social justice, mutual respect, and the protection of the Constitution under the laws of Guyana. Unless an equitable order is brought into existence, there will be no unity in our land. Sincerely, Inshan Ali. Will you take from this?
He's another foremost diplomat. And here's the thing, Rudy Inshan Ali served with distinction for governments under Burnham, Hoyt, and I can't remember who else. But it's not like he is a PPP lackey or from the other side. He is a person who served under the APNU source leadership.
Oh, he did?
Yes, he was appointed under that, and he was a distinguished diplomat. And for him to say that, and people like Sonny Ramphal, there's one thing that Granger has to do. The writing is on the wall, President. Let's call him caretaker President Granger. You need to take a responsibility for this. I have been in campaigns where we have had problems sometimes with the government, and the buck always stops with the candidate. The candidate must have the backbone to take the blame, and it squarely belongs to him as a person. Now, we have had to answer, and I as a candidate had to answer for that, and that is what leadership is about. You don't pass the buck, you don't make lackeys, and you don't pass the blame for others, or you don't find scapegoats. You were the president. How come now you don't know a lot about the stuff going on in the courts? You don't know about canister moving. Like you're at sea. You suddenly get stupidity, so to speak. President cannot afford to get stupidity and Pagli. People see through that. Jagan was never Pagli or stupidity. They always took the blame and they always accepted responsibility. When the going gets tough, you were there. Well, you must also be there. Like when you enjoy the sweet, you enjoy the
bitter too. The
bitter
bitter.
too. Yeah. So Granger is seeing all these things happen. Apnu is seeing all these things happen, all the shenanigans. He should call his cabal and say, guys, the game is up. We cannot look worse than this. Twice they vote we out, no confidence. CCJ rule against us. We had Mingo twice. This man commit treason, and Akari come vex with Abi, then Ghana, but then will come back. Then don't say they're gonna freeze our assets and give us serious sanctions. America is gonna be on us. UK, Canada, we're gonna be isolated. The people are gonna think the money that we got from the first set of oil, it cannot be used by us. It can only go to a legitimate government. The government will come to a standstill. Coronavirus, at least think about the health of your people. It is a poor person, they're going to get a medicine. When the medicine comes, they're going to take it out. The lady with the party card going to make sure that she give. You might got to get party card, following Vala Lawrence's statement, to get a vaccine for the coronavirus or to get something to wash your hand. You might got to produce party card. If from what this vicious woman has been saying, who's another lunatic, that party card is what controls things. This party card. You know, one of the things I left Guyana, Ken, was to say party card nonsense. I was appointed a magistrate and a prosecutor and a police legal advisor at the age of 22, the youngest person ever to do that. I never had a party card. My father never went to a PNC meeting. My father was never a party. He was always like in Better Hope, born and grow. Democracy. But what I'm saying is that there needs to be a backbone in Granger, and the cabal, APNU, needs to see, and the lawyers there milking the system and getting paid and disrupting the society, not serving their constitutional mandate, not serving why they became lawyers for the moral leadership of making sure that the law. Then you have this impending virus, and you have this implosion within APNU. You have Grangers saying, "Oh, I don't want CARICOM to go." And by his very act, he has somebody going to the court, Ulita Moore. And the same Ulita Moore now, there's a lawyer's name she put on the papers, and the lawyer is saying that I'm not representing these people. So this is another big flaw in the case. It's a fundamental problem that you're calling people's name, you're putting the names on paper, everybody's fed up with this, everybody's pulling out. You're giving mixed signals. The caretaker president is saying, oh, well, you know, and then the canisters been moving, and then you're spraying the place for coronavirus, which I don't know what they're going to spray, what they don't have. There's no cure for coronavirus. We're going to spray insecticide for something you don't know. And when you're caught, then you say, well, you know, maybe I spray for mosquito. And there's no mosquitoes there. So more and more we're looking foolish. Look at the young people who are camping out, demanding that this process be brought to a logical and fair end, who are holding umbrellas in the rain, and are willing to actually give their lives, it seems, to ensure that democracy and that that we go into a new beginning in democracy in Guyana. These people, these youths must be complimented. He must look at this now. They've got to talk to him. He got all his top advisors, Joe Singh and everybody else, Silal and his son-in-law himself.
We can talk about him because guess what? I have copy their letters that they wrote, and I'm not going to read everything, but here I have another letter for you to read, for you to listen to, and I'm going to let you talk about it. The Carter Center says, after careful consideration, the Carter Center has withdrawn its electoral experts and international observers from Guyana. The center remains committed to promoting democracy and constitutional reform in Guyana and is willing to return when the electoral process resumes, assuming international travel is feasible. And they're talking about the coronavirus. In light of the current injunction and subsequent legal process, there is not currently electoral activity for the center. And he says the security environment in Georgetown has declined in the wake of the impasses created by the non-transparent tabulations process in Region 4. International observers have been harassed, and the prosecutors supportive of the APNU AFC coalition have at times blocked international observers from doing their work. Specific threats have been made against the international community and are unaccountable and further undermine the credibility of the electoral process. The center says it's hope that the condition will be in place for CARICOM to return to Guyana to supervise a national recount. They also the center says international election observation groups denounce these results as not credible. The environment of the GCOM office, where the tabulation were being conducted for Region 4, was at times chaotic because of a large numbers of persons present at the efforts by the PPPC representative and others to disrupt the declaration of the result. Now, we know that the PNC was going to declare that they were the winners with all the shenanigans, and that's what I think what they're saying, that, you know what, that's why the PPP Civic, that's why they went in there and they said, no, this can't happen, if you know what I mean. There is something that which comes to the end of this letter that draw my attention. I said I must talk to you about it, and it says, unfortunately, when that process was resumed following litigation and court order, it is still did not comply with expectations set by Guyana's Chief Justice and failed to meet international standards. As such, the tabulation process in Region 4 continued to lack credibility. The Carter Center hope that the electoral process can still be concluded with credible result, and that the will of the Guyanese people are expressed at the poll on March the 2nd will be carried out. And, we are saying, and a lot of people are saying that, all the people of Guyana want are fair and free elections. They don't care whoever run the country, run with that for me.
As long as a winner takes office. And you're right. There's come a time where politics has matured in Guyana. For example, it was Mahatma Gandhi who said, "You must be the change you want to see in the world." And he also said that an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Mm-hmm. And that and the Bible and all the doctrines have said that if you must turn the other cheek if you were slapped on the cheek. But people now and citizens have become more militant. Mm-hmm. People do not just take these philosophical and doctrinal scriptures to heart. They want more. It was Malcolm X, who I have studied a lot. He has said that by any means necessary. Malcolm X was a person who wanted justice by any means. Whether you got to do what you got to do, civil resistance. Martin Luther King came up with that, civil resistance. So, and then Chetty himself used to tell us to back down and, well, basically to not to get involved because you're the ones who are going to suffer from the thugs and the hooligans. However, the young people of Guyana have gone far away from that. They're not going to continue to be docile. They're not going to continue to be hoodwinked. They're not continue to be victimized and have their rights stolen from them. They're going to stand up. That's a good sign that Guyana is developing. And it's also a clear message to APNU and these people who are trying to circumvent the elections, the people, the Mingos and so on, who did this thing twice. Mm-hmm. Twice he got charged for treason. He did these things, and then surrounded himself by police so that they won't hurt him or serve him with the papers. But Mingo should have been charged for treason twice. And I expect that the DPP, like I said, I'm surprised. She is the only person who has criminal jurisdiction in Guyana. Like the charge at Ramsden filed. You think he upped the charge now? He should up it to treason. They should have a private criminal charge. I have to research that, brought for treason against them. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when you're charged for treason, you don't get bail.
Oh, really?
So this is one way of getting of teaching Mingo a lesson that a law and the due process of law must be followed by everybody. So I don't know if the lawyers in Guyana are listening, but I think they should institute treason against Mingo especially, and possibly Lawrence is something they have to consider. Because what they have done is not an easy thing. They have actually stolen elections barefacedly many times, thwarted democracy, and have put up this whole charade. And then it may lead right up. And then you have people who went to the Canadian Embassy to Leland Chatterjee and said that we have credible information. We've been instructed to steal the elections. Mm-hmm. We've been instructed to steal. We've been instructed to perform these shenanigans. We've been instructed to do illegal ththings. These are all treasonous acts, criminal acts. Mm-hmm. And there also is where the investigation. So the DPP just can't sit there and said, well, you live in an ivory tower. And you have all this evidence coming out from the Canadian Embassy of people, being paid to do shenanigans and illegal acts. And then you have these people like Mingo doing all these illegal things. This is wrong. So you've got to have criminal, and then lawyers are filing private criminal charges, which is not really within their ambit, because the person with sole jurisdiction, just like how GCOM has, they're talking about this jurisdiction over elections, the same way the DPP has sole authority over criminal proceedings. And I used to be in the DPP's office, so I know the power. I was a senior state counsel there, and I was a top prosecutor. People know of that in Guyana. I was the most capable and fearless prosecutor. I did all the cases from treason right down to murder to everything else, customs cases and taxation, what have you. But my point to tell you is that it's not rocket science. This is what they do. This is what they get paid to do, to bring charges such as what obtains clearly in these elections. And they haven't done that. Now, as regards this canister, I'm thinking that... I don't know where it will end up. It looks like they want to put it in the Atlantic Ocean or dig a big hole and put it in, because as long as they can destroy the evidence, they believe that, for example, there's a theory in law, a very strong theory, that if you don't find the body, it's difficult to charge the body with murder. That is why you hear of people not being found. Like the Hoffa case in America, body was never found, and hence it became difficult to bring the charges. But even if the canister is destroyed, it's burnt, exploded, imploded, or what have you, there's enough evidence from those spreadsheets. There's enough evidence from the witnesses.
Absolutely.
There's enough evidence from people like Gunraj and all these other commissioners who have seen this barefaced thievery, this electoral choke and rob, so to speak, happen in front of their eyes.
And, it's strange that you were saying that, because before you came earlier today, I was listening to this guy who's in Guyana. He had a live, and I was listening to him. I forgot his name. He's the pilot guy in Guyana. Govaya.
Oh, yes.
And he was saying he have never seen anything like this, that this thieving happened in such a barefacedness, that everybody see what was going on. Yeah. But what can I tell you? What surprises...
It's a barefaced robbery.
Yes,
I've never...
barefaced.
And it's obvious what went on.
Right.
It belies imagination. This is more like worse than movies.
Yes,
you don't expect this. But the thing is, like, one of these movies, is a real terrible movie, because the actors are very bad actors.
Yes. And I would not be surprised, and I'm just being a little wicked here today. I would not be surprised if they come and talk about the coronavirus, and with these boxes get coronavirus, and they have to destroy it and all these shenanigan business.
You made a good point there, Ken. You said that you expected Friday that would have been the end of the matter.
Right.
I thought so too, because this judge knew that, and then you bring two people in the room, he must have known, well, okay, I'll have a sample representation because I'm going to expedite this case. But he puts it off till Wednesday. And this coronavirus is moving and enveloping the entire world, so that he knows by that time, and that the virus will hit, and then there'll be a lockdown, and then look at the sequence of events. The Granger gave Valda Lawrence, of all people, unconstitutional authorities that she doesn't have, that she can burn and break and under instructions, and this is also already a lunatic. So if you give those powers to people like that, and then she says, well, this canister got virus or is tested for virus. I don't know if she can do, but she's very possible, what I've seen Mingo and so on do, that they say, well, you know what? We have to destroy this canister based on medical emergencies or what have you. Then that's another reason why you have people locked up and brutalized.
I was hearing all these things, and I got to be very honest with you. In terms of argument, and even as a nurse, and I've been right on this. For the past couple of weeks, this corona and this election thing got me going crazy.
It will.
If you know what I mean. I've been reading about these things. I've been reading, because, on my show I want to talk about it. And when we are talking, I want to talk. I was telling somebody, I was telling these guys today, I said, could you believe a little boy from Guyana didn't know I was going to be interviewing a guy like Albert Baldeo, who's an attorney. I'm no match for him. You know what I mean? Well, that's just a joke. But
yeah, that's a joke, yes.
I said, I did not know that I would be able to do that. But, if you believe in yourself and you know that you can do great things, anything is possible in the world. But what I wanted to say is that we know the coronavirus does not live on paper like that. So they would not need to destroy all these things. They can secure these things and have them together. I don't want to say again, but the point I want to really make to you, which I can't say it's surprising that the Carter Center is thankful to the government for extending an invitation to the International Election Observation Organization, and would like to thank GCOM chairperson Claudette Singh for her welcome and openness. Listen to this. She has thus far showed great personal commitment to achieving a credible election process.
Yeah, that's what I said, right?
This is what the Carter Center, and I want to believe them, because if we are believing everything that the Carter Center says, we have to believe what they are saying about this lady. And let me tell you again, they said that the chairperson, Claudette Singh, for her welcome and openness, she has thus far shown great personal commitment to achieving a credible election process.
Well, let me put this way, Ken. You know this whole story from Guyana. When your hand in tiger mouth, you pull them out easy. Carter Center know they want the bigger issue of restoring democracy to Guyana. They know that if they go and speak the truth about Claudette Singh, who has actually disgraced herself and whatever record she has as a judge, to do this sort of thing, that they may not be welcome in Guyana, they may have more roadblocks and so on. But I'll tell you something about Jason Carter. He is not the same as his father. Many times that has not happened. Look, Alvin Kalicharan named the son after Rohan Kanhai. He named him Rohan Kalicharan. Sunil Gavaskar named the son Rohan also, Rohan Gavaskar. But these guys don't have much of Kanhai in them. You can name this thing, because I'm showing you how, for example, let's get back to what Carter did. Jimmy Carter told Hoyt, when Hoyt told him to leave Guyana, he said, no, I'm not going to leave. Let us get this election thing sorted out now. And Hoyt, who is standing tall compared to people like Granger, Hoyt is looking like a statesman. Hoyt is looking more and more every day like he was, a good man. He allowed, he conceded, and he allowed Cherry Jagan to become the rightful winner to be sworn in. Now, Granger has to take a page from Hoyt. Hoyt did what he had to do at the end of the day. History will look upon him as a person who did his duty. I don't know overall what he be looked at, but at least in that particular perspective of doing the right thing when there's nothing else left for him to do, when he was cornered, and he obviously had to declare Jagan the winner. But here's where Granger, a move, canister, you file court, you play, you know about this, you go back to this. He there on a rigmarole, he there like a roly-poly. He's doing one thing and saying something else. He looked like a confused man, and he's claiming that. He's pretending that he doesn't know what's going down there. And there's an implosion within the APNU. One side is doing something here, and one other side is giving in the ghost and saying, well, we can't do this.
I want to respond to you. And Aubrey Austin, thank you very much for watching my show, the Ken Rampersaud Show. And I'm going to read your comment. You said a bunch of hogwash, talk about PPP rigging and international interference. My brother, I have to tell you, with all the reading I've done, I've been watching this election from day one. And all the write-ups that I see, I have them all in front of me talking tonight. All of them and everyone is saying the same thing. This is a rigged election. And guess what? If I have to tell you that the government of Guyana, as we say, Granger, he's the one who invited these people. And in my opinion, if they're the one who they're inviting them, and if he know that they were biased, he would not invite them to come and watch the elections in Guyana. May you have a good night. Let's say hello to some people. Nalini Singh, thank you very much. You guys don't need to respond. I will do the responding. Lilauti Budu, thank you very much. Budu for watching the show. Nalini, thank you very much for watching. Nirmati Dat, thank you very much. Gigi Gokul, thank you very much. Madhu, Ishrani Madhu, thank you very much for watching. Rishi, thank you very much for watching the show. Sukdeo, she says, Sukdeo Mangal, good night to Island Zone Radio. Blessing to make these updates important to all of us. And we have to say thank you to Mr. Albert Baldeo, because guess what? He is the one who actually come in here night after night in talking. I'm doing the easy work here. Yes, I do some reading, but he's the one who come in here. And I have to tell him thanks for his level of commitment to come here. He calls me sometime at 11 o'clock and say, Ken, can I come tomorrow? And I'm always available in this to use this platform to let our people know, and without taking sides, to let people know what's going on with the elections in Guyana. as most of you know, that we do still have families and friends in
Of
Guyana.
course.
So we want what's the best. And the people in Guyana, all people is asking for, and you can probably help me too, all the people, white, Chinese, Portuguese, all the 6 races, now I want to say we have about 10 races. All the people want in Guyana is for fair and free elections.
Correct.
Nothing
and that
else.
is true, Ken. And that takes us back to Cherry Jagan time when he was out of office for 28 years, 1964. 28 years, and Mandela was out for 27 years. And now we come to this juncture in our life, which is our duty. Now, a lot of the people in Region 11, Guyana, which is also part of Richmond Hill, New York, USA, you people have to understand is that Guyanese live all over the world, in the UK, in Canada, and so on. They have a vested interest. They send money. They send barrels. They buy the hassa and the crab and the curry powder and the confectionery, even the Bristol cigarette. Some guys here only smoke that cigarette, or the XM rum,
And they bring it
only
from
Guyana. So this is little Guyana in itself. And when the politicians come here, be it from whatever party, they are treated royally. They're given donations, they're given contributions, they're taken care of. So don't think that we're outsiders. We are a very vocal and vibrant part because we're the ones who've been doing the hard work. We have been making the calls. We don't have to pay for long distance calls. And we have called the White House. I sent you the reply.
yes.
You also said to the White House, which the White House said that we have received your communication. That was about a week ago I sent mine, and there's several hundreds of people we encouraged. So the White House has a lot of staff. There are people like Mike Pompeo, his staff, who's going to get to this, see that nothing is happening here, that this country is going backwards here, and they will take action. So all these things are happening. And we got to keep up the pressure from this end.
I see Agnes Rampal say, I love this show. Yes, we have to be honest and truthful. I'm glad, I go the more lighter side than Albert. He did his law in Guyana. He was a prosecutor and an attorney as a young man there in Guyana.
Well, in Barbados, right?
In Barbados, too.
Is where the best.
And guess what? Yeah, he went to University of West
I met
Indies.
the best people there. And, I could have gone to Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard, but I met Guyana scholars, Trinidad scholars, Jamaican scholars, and these guys were bright. They're pretty good, like Saunders and all these people, Carmona, all these guys. Yeah, so we've got a lot of talent back home,
And Nirmati said he's talking from experience, and that's why he is here today. Samuel Hytravan says, thank you, cause Albert, much is appreciated. Nalini Singh says, thanks, Albert Baldeo, a job well done. Gary Singh says, good night, Albert, my friend. Imran Baksh, thank you very much for watching.
Gary's a cricketer, yeah. He used to play in the same
yes?
team.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
He's a good all-rounder.
Nashima Mohammed is watching. Thank you very much. Let's see. So we can go for music, and when we come back, I have the letter that Dominic Gaskin, the son-in-law of Granger. So we can talk a little bit about it. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but I got some bits and pieces that I have for you. Let's go. Yes, we need to talk about that.
हंसाएंगे रुलाएंगे मार ही डालेंगे
old people, struggling we struggle, and we no look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, and we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is our land now, we're gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow, but never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we are moving from here, make no mistake. No, we ain't giving up no mountain, no, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belong to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. Remember your boyhood days, remember your wayward ways. Come, let me go down memory lane and check out them days again. Remember learning how to ride a bike and learning how to cuss. Drinking coconut water in the country that your belly nearly bust. And the first time you wear long pants and feel like a man. Remember when Ramadan and Valentine beat England, hiding in the backyard smoking a cigarette. And when they give you castor oil, you're living in the toilet. I remember still, and I always will. Time cannot erase boyhood days. Remember black pudding by the corner every Saturday, garlic pork at Christmas, ice cream on Sunday. Remember peeping at two lovers in the grass. Remember trying hard not to sleep during midnight mass. And the first time you get a chica in your big toe. And the first time you ask a girl and she tell you no. I remember still, and I always will. Time cannot erase boyhood days. Remember how you used to lie about how much woman you kiss. Spring jump on your bicycle saddle and you miss.
Good night again and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio and Facebook Live. You know, I really want to listen out to the whole song, and I'm sure you guys want to do too, but we got so much to talk about tonight. So, Albert, we were talking about Claudette Singh. Did you think that she should have taken more stance on all of it that's going on?
Yeah, she's been a total disappointment. I have known Claudette Singh since I became a lawyer in 1982. She was before me, but she was at the Attorney General's Chambers. You know, the DPP, we had a lot of cases. We get early court experience. You go into the arena of advocacy and you fight. The first thing you learn to be is to be, that's where, you know, you become a court craft. You become, you know, a lawyer capable of standing on your own feet. Claudette was not that vociferous in her representation of people. She hardly went to court and so on. She did, however, become the Justice of Appeal. She held the post of police legal advisor later in her career. I held that position from 1983 to 84, or 85, when I was 23 years old. I was a police legal advisor. Then she went to that position, I think, in her 40s or so on. However, my point I'm making is that she's a chairperson. There was a lot of brouhaha for her to become the chairperson. There was a lot of selection and counter selection and nomination and withdrawal and all sorts of things, you know, where you call janjat. A lot of judicial janjat and political connection. Blah. Eventually, she got a post. Why I say she's a disappointment is because you had this clown. She allowed a clown show. She will go down in history as the chairperson of the circus. Because what she instituted was a circus. She never had a firm grip. She allowed herself to be bent. She could have actually said that she, not only she bent, that she is influenced. She may even be corrupt. This is common knowledge. This is public comments. And hence, therefore, there should be an investigation as to why she descended to the chaos that she created here, knowing very well that elections are always a problem in Guyana, knowing fully well that the stakes are high with oil coming in, knowing very well that, you know, that she was going to have a very exact task to perform. She had a lot of time to think about it. She had a lot of time to prepare for it. She had a lot of arrogance. She knew she was well prepared, and this is not going to, you can't compromise me with all the oil in the world, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of big talk. At the end of the day, I think she has been rubbished by this process. She has looked very small. I think it has been a lesson for all of us. We should appoint someone stronger. We should not have someone like that being bent by the wind. Whichever wind the wind blows, she's gone. Come back there, here, everywhere. And then to have people like Mingo and Lowenfield twist her head or turn her hands or silently conspire with her, whatever the issues are. Like I said, there must be an investigation. I don't know where the DPP is in all of this. But she must take a lot of blame for a process that she was unable to ride or to control. It's like a wild horse, and you can't look to the spectator for that. She's a rider of this horse. When you speak of GCOM, you speak of Claudette Singh as a chairperson. So how can you say, just like Granger, when you speak of problems in Guyana with this election, Granger can't say, well, not me, check with this person or check. The buck stops there. There is a saying in America that you can't, the buck stops at your desk. You can't be the person who's representing and then you duck out and say, oh, check with the person, that's the other person, put the blame on somebody else. They don't accept it. They have to reform GCOM, and it has a terrible name. I think you have had to end more martyrs. You have had Arnold Rampersaud. You have had Walter Rodney being blown out in the most inhumane circumstances. You have had a lot of terrible things done in Guyana, Council and all these things as you think about it, the riots and '63. GCOM's miscalculation and GCOM's performance or lack of performance and this and unfairness and the way it has allowed people to hold it a ransom and the way it has possibly connived in violating the will of the people at the electoral. It's 800,000 people plus all the diaspora and all of us. I think it's the biggest shame, one of the biggest shame in Guyana history. Go down like that. You know,
Albert, in my opinion, she should have been more assertive, assert herself that, listen, I am in charge of this. Because you and I have heard, and a lot of our viewers have heard, the fish start to stink at the head. Am I right?
That's right.
My next thing to you is, and
boy, did it stink! Wow.
It smelled all over the world, huh?
It stink a lot, Claudette. You stink up the place a lot, Claudette. I would say that to her face, man. Because I know, Claudette. If I see her again, I say, Claudette, that fish you out in Guyana, girl, that thing stink all over.
That must have some gillback or coras, but anyway.
Gillback and coras, that got to be some kind of real bad fish, man. That's not fish you can eat. You can't eat this.
Anyhow, and you know better than I do because I was just a basic politics I follow. Although I'm not deep into the politics. But of all the years, with all the massacre and all the people who have died over the years from 64, and I don't want to say, but I'm going to ask you the question. What were the race of the people who's dead and who give their life for freedom and so on in Guyana? And I want you to be very frank and fair.
You mean like during Cherry's time?
No, all over the years.
Yeah, but you had when the imperialists was there, from times of coffee and all that. We've had people from both races. This is why Guyanese need to be united and be proud of each other as brothers and sisters. We both suffered
both of
at
us,
the hands
right.
of Massa. Massa used to kick us. Massa used to ride horse. Massa used to put us in logies. Massa used to abuse us. Used to steal the women folk, rape them, but all the races there. And then we began to fight amongst ourselves, where this British instituted the divide and rule. Then they kept Chetty out of power unlawfully, and then they went after Indians to terrorize them, the other side. And this whole divide and rule was something that Guyanese should have avoided. Now, why are we still fighting? You have oil. You have all this. Like I said, we're fighting over Kush Kush. We're fighting over banana skin. And these people controlling and giving us 2%. And the oil dropping. Now, money being, before set of money now, look where we are.
We're going to talk about our 51 million. But,
51 million.
But before we do, I always like to say hello to my viewers. I see Usha Azimula watching all the way from Wisconsin. Thank you very much. I see Maya Sahai. Thank you very much, Maya, for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show. My schoolmate, Nadira Santi Ramesh. Thank you very much, my dear, for watching. And Usha saying good night, Kenneth. Good afternoon, Kenneth. Good afternoon. Basmati Balgobin says, great program. Thanks for letting us know what's going on in Guyana. And as I said before, I have to say thank you to Albert Baldeo for doing this. He well read and know more of what's going on in Guyana. As I said earlier, that he was a lawyer in Guyana. Andy Singh, thank you very much. He said passing the buck. Nalini Naidu saying great show. Ryan Prasad, another DJ, thank you very much. Chandra Bridge, thank you very much for watching. Nalo Suraj Paul, thank you very much. She said she loves us and we love you right back. Nalini said we are not giving up. No containers, they belong to us. My next question to you is that, in my opinion, after watching all this fiasco about GCOM, it is my opinion that GCOM, moving forward, we should have a neutral body where it doesn't belong to the PNC or the PPP, that when there is a difficult time like this, they can assert themselves and say, let's say, listen, I am GCOM, I'll be honest, I'll be frank, I'll be fair, and I will give you the result based on what the people says. What's your take?
Oh, definitely. The days of GCOM are now over. We cannot have another albatross like that. The name itself implies fraud and deceit and mingo and all these hallucinations and nightmares. And it's resonant with injustice and evil and crime and treason. So that we should never have a name like GCOM again. We have to get a brand new name, brand new set of people, brand new constitution. We should have all the parties there, not only the major parties. There are many other smaller parties that can contribute to Guyana's thing, and we should have some kind of shared power sharing there with GCOM. It's very, very important that there's power sharing, because right now the whole system, like you said, is so lacking in credibility, lacking in honesty. It doesn't serve the people of Guyana well. It creates further division. So, but coming back to what you had said too about that part, there were also some instances where I think they're saying that in Roger Khan's time there were some folks of the other from Afro-Guyanese.
Right, and I'm glad you bring that, because we want to be fair and on both sides.
So you have, whenever these things happen, there's always innocent Guyanese who are going to be, and like I said, the British did the divide and rule policy. You have a lot of politicians in Guyana who are race mongers. They thrive on race. That is how they survive. That is how they are able to be there. They put one race against the other. But Guyanese are not stupid. Guyanese come together, and they have these smaller parties, and they have come together. And I want to compliment Ralph Ramkaran and what's the name of the Shulman and all these guys, thinking outside the box. You mustn't be a PPP
absolutely.
or a PNC. You're Guyanese, and therefore you have to have a joint unit. You must love Guyana. And then, Ken, what are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? We are fighting a war between ourselves, not me and you personally, but them. Guyanese, our brothers and sisters, are fighting like this. If they were to live in America, if they were to go through what we go through on a daily basis, they would learn to love and respect each other. We are victimized there. We are second-class citizens. We are treated differently. We are the second tier of citizens here until we get our rights, which I'm fighting for and others are fighting for. But at the same time, when you're in Guyana, you don't get time for watch where your neighbor got, if he foul cock more big than you want, or he cow give more milk than you want, or he dog eat more. That is nonsense. So Guyanese are very small-minded and got to grow up. And, you all got to think big. You got to oil and you fight with one canister, a whole arm below over your head, and watch one vote, or watch a man put the camera. And you got the oil companies, again, 2%, and are exploiting you, trading the money in the stock exchange in Houston, refining the oil. You don't even know what is going on. All of you looking at this ballot, at this GCOM nonsense, this masquerade, this circus, this clown show, and the real commanding heights of the economy, like the oil or whatever's happening to the gold, nobody's paying attention to that. And then you got a coronavirus going to surround you, giving these people more time to do the shenanigans. And then you would have Venezuela is also looking. You think Venezuela is not looking? Venezuela is probably contemplating when they're going to their next move. Because if your enemy doesn't sleep, and they won't tell you I'm coming. And, you know, it was very moving for you to play that song, Another Blade of Grass. That's a very patriotic song. As I said, that's a national anthem, the official national anthem of Guyana. Dave Martin's great song. What's the name of the song?
Not One Blue Saki?
Not One Blue Saki and so on. That's the name of the song, I think. Not One Blue Saki. But what if it is? It talks about all this Not One Chorus and all that. Now you got one chorus most thing then that would Claudette sing what she did to GCOM. But look what we got here now. You know what I'm saying? We have a problem now where our own systems are so corroded, are so monopolized, are so exploited that we can't be proud anymore. And that is a problem why we got to watch Venezuela and we got to watch this virus. And we got to bring this thing to an end. By Wednesday, Thursday, you know, Guyana is going to have a lockdown too.
Absolutely. And you know what was so striking is that we were talking who spoke out of the elections in Guyana is Dominic Gaskin. He's the son-in-law of the sitting president, may I say, you know. And this is what he says. AFC executive and former business minister Dominic Gaskin today said he doesn't buy the controversial Region 4 figures, which were declared by running officer Clement Mingo and which are now the subject of rigging elections. And that speaks volume of the man who he is. And I want to tell you, too, I could not read everything that he said. He says, I don't buy these numbers. Who vex? Guyana talk. I am not attempting to convince anyone that my position is the right one. I've gone beyond that. I am also not condemning anyone for whatever position they may wish to take. Life is too short. As a person, as a people, our post-election behavior has been exemplary, which we all know. We seem to have little concern for the young Guyanese who are looking on in astonishment and who have to live together in the aftermath of the hot mess that we are creating as adults. The loss, and he named them, the loss of confidence in GCOM, which he said all the riggings people saw. He saw something too. That's why he's saying, I personally find the prospect of the PPPC winning elections and remaining in power for another decade, long stretch, quite frightening. I have to bring that in because I want to be fair and to be frank.
The stretch.
He don't want that, and I cannot blame him. He's right to his opinion. He said societal damage from exacerbated ethnic tension because of this election. Listen, I have so many African-American friends and Afro friends, and I can feel the tension now. Some, you know, don't talk too much and have became very quiet.
Yes, that's true. Even amongst Guyanese here in New York.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Tension, yes.
Yes. There must be a binding commitment from all parties as part of a package resolution for the current situation. Finding a permanent solution is not rocket science. Those who are not up to the task should step out of the way and allow better mind to figure it out. Lots of bright young persons in Guyana, and the real big men and big women have to start talking to each other and stop pretending to be leaders. In the meantime, all voters deserve to know the true result of the process in which they innocently and dutifully participate in. There needs to be a full investigation to assert whether there was any wrongdoing as part of the individual within GCOM as it relates to the integrity of statements of poll or the tabulation of the result. Therefore, election to 2020 has been a national embarrassment. If we cannot manage a simple election, how the heck are we going to plan to manage the oil economy? We seem to be doing everything possible to make up for the absence of natural disaster in this dear land of ours. What's your take on this young man, what he wrote?
Well, he did a good job there in coming out. Some people will say that he came out when all is lost, when there's an implosion within the PNC and people within the APNU, and people are going to step up, and they have two people from the Canadian people already telling Chatterjee something similar to what he's saying, that an investigation, justice must be done. Here's what Dominic Gaskin, we compliment him on that first step.
Right.
But Brother Gaskin, there's much more you need to do. As a son-in-law of Granger, you need to get more people to give a joint statement with you and to call upon your father-in-law, politically and otherwise, to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
He can be a key player. You can go down in history as somebody who would have redemption for whatever ills you may have committed on the Guyanese people and their lack of democracy thus far. There's always some redeeming virtue, my brother, and you can still find a pathway to heaven. Now, people will forgive you if you do the right thing now. A statement like that is a good start. Ken, don't get me wrong. It's an excellent statement. It's pregnant with meaning that this man is saying that, listen, I know and I can perceive that this state of Denmark is rotten. That's a saying they used to say, well, something is fishy in the state of Denmark, meaning that everything is wrong in Guyana. And they use that word fishy, in Denmark and Shakespeare. And it's the same sort of fishiness in Guyana. But it stinks more. And the problem with Gask is that you got to get everybody together and come out and blow this thing wide open. You can't get Granger doing one thing, going to court, and then he's saying, oh, I wish CARICOM was here. And then you engineer the same way that you can send CARICOM home. The same way you're telling the Carter Center, welcome, you've been great. And at the same time, you're sending them out of the country. The same way you're telling the Guyanese people, I care about you. I want to see democracy. And at the same time, you're allowing the coronavirus to kill them without declaring the election and bringing it to an end. The same way that Bingo is carrying on with shenanigans, and you are not telling Mingo that that what you're doing is illegal. You are countenancing all these things with a two-phase strategy or three-phase strategy. That people are not stupid. They are seeing through all of these things that Granger is doing. He needs to back up. He needs to stop. He needs to concede. Elections is every, like you said, 2025. If you feel you have a good agenda and a manifesto that can help the people, campaign from now. You can win the next election. As for this one, it's clear that you lost. You need to move out. And therefore, there's too much pressure now. There's an explosion there. There's an implosion. There's two factions now, within APNU. The one with Gaskin and some people whose conscience cannot, making them blow the whole thing open and going to jail, and Chatterjee and talking about all these irregularities. And they get a hardcore set of people who, for some reason or another, and perhaps for legal reasons, so many crimes they've committed, so much money they've stolen, whatever they've done, they feel that if they come out the same thing like what it did to Irfan and Anil, make up all these bogus charges. And I know there can be bogus charges all over the place that happens. That actually happened several times to me or so. So I know how the legal system could try to get you, or through dirty politics they could try to destroy you, but you got to be strong and rise. And I wish these men rise also over it, like I did. So what we have to look at here is for the same reason. Christ rose from the dead. And there's all these biblical doctrines point to the same majesty and glory in risings, spiritually and otherwise. But coming back to him, he must get us another set of people and rise out of this and lead Guyana to a new beginning. And there must be shared governance. People like him can find a home amongst a joint coalition.
The other thing I wanted to say, it just went through my mind and I just got it back. The last election, not this one, but the one before this, I know that, when Ramatara was in government, a lot of Indian people was not satisfied, or they did not satisfy with how he was running the country. And I think the last election, when they were going to vote for Granger, they said, you know what, we are tired of Ramatara. He didn't do a good job. So we are going to vote for a change.
Correct.
We're going to make a difference. We are going to vote for Granger. Am I right?
Yes. The same opportunity Granger can have, especially if the other regime, and there's a cabal there too. People know about that. Irfan may be a good president as long as he be his own man at that time. And I don't want to prejudge the issue, but there have been, like we talked about this extrajudicial killings. There have been issues where a certain section of people are getting all milk in the sweet of the country, sweetheart contracts and blah, blah, blah. Names are being called, and this cabal is reaping all the benefits and all the sweet of the country. That was not the intention, Mr. Jagdeo or Mr. Granger. Guyana is for everyone.
That's
Guyana is
right.
not only for you or you. Your dad and your mom did not give you Guyana personally. Guyana belongs to the 850,000 people and abroad there who have been born and who reside outside. So I want to tell both of you and all of you leaders that don't treat any Guyanese like second-class citizen in their own country. And you need to show them the respect. You need to show them the dignity. You need to show them the inclusion. You need to show them the governance of sharing. And you need to include everybody in the government, not only your friends and family. And this is what happens to third world politicians. They try to, to put everything in the name of the supermarket and the ships and the billions and what have you. Gold thing. And Barnum was king of that. Money in the Swiss bank, fourth richest African American black man in the world. And that's not right. You can't deprive the people and suck the blood and you get them kush and you run away with everything. The gold, the oil, the bauxite, the sugar, the rice. It's wrong. So that's my message to them, that they got to be fair going forward.
So we'll get another song to entertain you guys, and when we come back, we'll chit-chat a little more, eh?
Guyana, a beautiful country with 6 races in 3 different counties, with our different faces and culture, and the land of many water. Guyana, we love you, Guyana. Guyana, we need you, Guyana. I might live in New York and Canada, but we will be Guyanese forever. With the Petro Falls and Mount Roraima, we have tourists coming from all over. With the Jaguar and Ujara Prima, this is only a glimpse of Guyana. We have 6 races living together and 9 tribes of Amerindian culture. We have the Methodist, pepper pot and roti, and we will never ever hate one another. We have the rice and the bauxite and timber, manganese and sugars of future. With the cooperation from brothers and sisters, oil-rich Guyana will prosper forever. We choke net for Huri and Patwa. We plant edos and plantain cassava. We go swimming in the lake with black water. We make bush cook with all our neighbors.
Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. So, we're going to wrap up things here in just a few minutes. So we know that Guyana got $55 million for the oil that we got. So where would this money be? Would they give it to the government of Guyana now, or would they secure it somewhere? So after all these things done, what's going to happen with this money?
Well, as you know, there was a vote of no confidence, and from then the government moved to caretaker status, a de facto government, so to speak. It has now descended to become a dictatorship because they have not allowed the vote to be counted. So we have basically legally and judicially a dictatorship in Guyana until these votes are counted and the rightful government is sworn in and the national observers agree with the decision. That's where it is legally and worldwide, internationally. Now, the minister there, Jordan, is saying that this money will be given to a successive government. I think what he's trying what he doesn't mention is that the people will refuse to put that money in the hands of an illegitimate caretaker government.
Oh, okay.
Twice now. I mean, further diminished by an allegedly rigged election, or one that is so far as shown to be rigged, or has not been blessed by the constitutional process, or by the process that is ought to be followed, and so forth. So this was where the money is floating in minute. That's a lot of $55 million.
That's a lot of money.
Guyana is now seeing the benefit of its resources, and here these people, withholding it from the Guyanese people, sitting on it, not making use of it. The coronavirus, we need help. We got to depend now. Go to with open arms and beg for arms now. We got $55 million we can't use. We got to beg people to come and help us with coronavirus. We got to beg people in Venezuela come for a blade of our grass. There's no way we can defend our country. We are in the midst of this civil unrest. We are in the midst of an electoral malfeasance. We are in a state of anarchy. We're in a state of a dictatorship. Where are we going with this, gentlemen? Is this that's the kind of greed you guys have? You don't care nothing about the poor people. I grew up as a poor boy guy, and I used to walk to school, the Better Hope School. I used to walk sometimes barefoot when the rain fall because you didn't want to slide off and end up in the
oh, really?
silent, they call that, right?
Yes.
And people have gone through like that. There's thousands of kids that grow up like me who became somebody at the end of the day, who do not like to see these injustices, who have a stake in Guyana. If Guyana can't do for them, then who the hell you expect to do for them? They are born and grow Guyanese. They sing the national anthem. They are entitled to that. The navel string is buried in Guyana. Who you expect to give them justice? Who you expect to educate them? Who you expect to take care of them? Why we always got to be pillar to post? Why we always got to fight each other? We need to be united. We need to share the wealth. And, it's like this oil here is like you throw pearls before a swine. If you throw pearls before a swine, he would even know. He would smell it, and he's probably going to do what Biden will say, malarkey on it. Malarkey being the bird shy, the bird waste. So malarkey is a term that has been used to describe Guyana situation. What malarkey is going on in Guyana? This is the problem we have. And Ken, this is what this is a failure of leadership, brother. This is a failure of leadership.
Yes. I'm going to say hello to a couple of our viewers, and when we come back, I'm going to ask you to wrap things up. Right? Let's see. We have Hemwanti Ramsarup. Thank you for watching. Aditya Kedarnath is watching in the studio. Nalo Singh say something. So Leland, Island Zone Radio knows you're watching. Yes, you guys say hello. And I want to say too, for all of you guys who are sitting back, listening and not saying anything, I want to say thank you very much for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. And you can always say hello. It's not a problem. I want to acknowledge all of you guys who are watching the program here. Who else we have here? Usha said they used to eat from their Afro-American Guyanese neighbors.
Exactly. You look after your children too.
Let's go for a tune here. You're watching the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio.
Never let politicians come and change it. Never let them come on and rearrange it. Tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder. Never let them come wrong and divide it. That's the only way they can really rule it. Tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder. Live life like we are the cricket. Together we jump for a six or a wicket. Yeah, together we win, together we lose. Such is life, we not have to choose. Yeah, Shiblash a 60 and we happy. When the man out the stadium feel empty. Yeah, we fear it down, but then we get up again. Cause we know that team I start batting. Yeah, never let politicians come and change it. Never let them come on and rearrange. We tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder. Never let them come wrong and divide. That's the only way they can really rule. Tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder. Rakesh and Jeremy are friend from nursery. Them boys share them dumpling and a curry. Them turn big man, you know them turn enemy. For that we thank PPP and TNC.
That's the guy, Mystic from Berbice, and we know that his nephew, I think, that was killed in Guyana. Yes, Devon, that's his nephew, okay?
We country, the world we are dreaming, still every country. Never let politicians come and change it. Never let them come along and rearrange we. Tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder. Never let them come wrong and divide we. That's the only way they can really rule we. Tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder. Rally round one another Guyanese, like David Rudder rallied round the Windies. These are the times and we need another Clive Lloyd to mold a team and bridge this divide. Forget the politics in the game. Guyana first goal remains the same. Some outsiders propagating of trash. The intention is another whitewash. So be clever like chemo from Saxacali and bowl them with this delivery. Never let politicians come and change it. Never let them come wrong and rearrange we. Tell them no, we not the pounder. Tell them no, I be this not the pounder.
Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. Don't forget, guys, please join me tomorrow on the Ken Rampersaud Show at 5 p.m. I want to talk about lung cancer tomorrow. I'll be alone in the studio. And so, Albert, how you going to run this off tonight? How are you going to close this program? What advice you have and how you look at things?
Well, Guyana's at a crossroads. And we have to come back as a tribute to Cherry Jagan, the father of the nation, that Guyana must pick itself up. Guyana must love each other. There must be unity and peace amongst Guyanese. We are brothers keepers. We are brother and sisters keepers. You know, there was a time in Guyana when we could leave our children. I was born in Plaisance, by the way, so I've grown up in a multiracial society. I have seen where our kids, or your neighbor can keep you and teach you and be your babysitter or help you out. And similarly, all six races live in harmony and in peace, respect each other, play together, work together, study together. That is where we need to go on this. The leaders of Guyana must get their act together and unite the people. Guyana has been blessed with tremendous resources. Every Guyanese has walked a very difficult path to get up where he is today. Those who have migrated and come here like myself, we have had a very difficult time. We've gone through a lot. We know what it is to be a second-class citizen. In Guyana, we can be like Dubai. We can live the good life that we're entitled to, that God has given us. But we're spoiling it by attacking each other. We're spoiling it by missing the big picture. We're spoiling it by not having fair elections and bringing this thing to a conclusion. We are depriving each other of growing up to be the full stature. We need to bring this to an end. We have issues coming up. We have the coronavirus is circling Guyana, circling the world. We have to bring an end. That will take some time. So that will grip the nation. And we have to bring our content to an end and let everybody, certify the elections, international observers, and things like that. We also have a problem with Venezuela. Venezuela can invade Guyana. Guyana is very weak at the moment. You have everybody have come out, from Sonny Ramphel to Joe Singh to everybody else. The nations have spoken. The international community has condemned Guyana. Everybody's asking for this. This is the end of the game. This is the end of the road, APNU. You've got to do the right thing. You've got to do the process. Judges, stop mucking around. Stop trying to outdo each other. You need to get back to GCOM to complete the process. This whole thing about injunctions and going to the CCJ is all rubbish. You're not going to be respected like that legally. Think of yourself as a Guyanese. Lawyers there, you're not there to excel and go against each other and show who brighter than who. That is nonsense. You need to unite. You need to think about Guyana. You need to work this thing out to the end. You don't need to bring frivolous lawsuits and stretch out things with injunctions and file papers here and file papers there. Everybody know you're brilliant lawyers. So, just sit down at the table of brotherhood. Do like what Martin Luther King said, that we must sit down at the table of brotherhood and we must break bread together. You need to break bread together. Because if you were to come to America and live, or in England and these other countries, trust me, you will not be breaking bread. You'll be breaking stones. So, big up, get up, lift yourselves up and unite and be part of Guyana and pay tribute to each other. That is my parting word to you for this program tonight. We need to see by next week this is brought to an end. I call on all judges, GCOM, Claudette Singh, everybody, Dominic Gaskin, come out, everybody come together and bring this thing to an end. This thing was a long saga. This is a long soap serial. This circus show must end. We got to bring it to an end now.
And, you know, Albert, I was thinking of what my closing remarks will be. And, you know, I don't know Granger. I've never met him. I probably would never meet him. But this is what I was thinking as a human being. He's an older guy. He was diagnosed with cancer. He's probably in remission. And if any one of you guys listening to this program and you can get this message to him, please, by all means, let him hear this. And the thing is, how I look at it, you know, there's a saying that I always like to say, I shall pass this way but once, the good that I can do, let me do it now because I will not pass this way again.
Correct.
At the end of his journey, President Granger, you know, I don't know how long he have on this earth, but I would ask him to do what's right and morally right. One of the reasons is that I see him kneel and pray in Guyana in the church. And I want to take that as he's very sincere in what he's doing. And so I want to believe that he believes in God, and he is a Christian man. I believe he believes in heaven and earth. And I know that you have people around you who probably telling you to do what's wrong. My message to you is, when you stand before God, you will be going all by yourself. You will be there with nobody, not with your beautiful wife, not with your son-in-law, not your daughter, not all those people who are around you, influencing you negatively. Do what's right for the people of Guyana. Let the Guyanese people speak and let them be heard. All you have to do is you can make wrong right tomorrow. All you have to do is just use your word. You know what? Give the orders. Let us count with the international so that everyone would see what's going on. Call back, be the man. You are a leader. You've been in the army. Call back the people them and decide what you're going to do. Call them back and count these things so that both Indians and blacks could come together and count this election. And whatever the result is, we all, with what I said we all do, is to accept the result, move on, shake each other hand, and that's about it. Correct. Because at the end of the day, Albert, when we die, we take nothing with us. Yes. What's your legacy is going to be, exactly. Mr. President? Take it away,
Albert.
And
I want to conclude on that note, and thank you very much for your great comments. You made me think very deep now, and it is so, Ken, and that is what we wish for the Guyanese people. Of course, we don't have a stake in Guyana's oil, so to speak. We've come here, we've made a life, and we have to continue to thrive and work hard here. All we want to see is that Guyana progress. The poor people there, the common person, the working class, like I was, must be able to have a fair chance of rising to become somebody in life. My father was a chauffeur. He produced doctors, lawyers, engineers, and teachers because of his hard work and his honesty. He drove a hire car for over 40 years and never had a single accident. On his wall, his only certificate was a certificate from the Commissioner of Police, Traffic, Carl Austin, that complimented him for not having had an accident in 45 years.
Oh, wow.
In his own way, that was a great theory. I was looking through my things and I saw Congressman Meeks had sent him in death a letter congratulating him. So he rose in his own way. And he lived his life vicariously through his children. I became a lawyer. My brother, Dr. Baldeo, Philip Baldeo, became a doctor. My brother is an engineer and a teacher in the city school system. And my sister is in Canada, Grace DeFreitas. She is an investment consultant and also a teacher. But my issue and what I want to bring to you is that every child in Guyana must be given the opportunity, which we are not getting now. They must be given the resources. They must be allowed. And we are doing this not because we have a stake or some oil well in Guyana. No. ExxonMobil has all of that. We just got in 2%. Try to do better so we can have a better country. And lastly, we do these things in the name of the father of the nation, Dr. Cherry Jagan. Dr. Jagan was out of office for 28 years, perhaps the longest time someone has been exiled. That man won election after election after election. He was God. They are deities in people's name. That's why I knew a Chetty. Chetty was a hero. Chetty was our father. Chetty was like a deity in many homes, and still, and rightly so. And now, in tribute and in memory of Dr. Jagan, and all of us who love our parents, and my mom, of course, I don't want to leave her out, but I'm just showing you, Ken, how we have to pay tribute to these people. Nelson Mandela was in 27 years in a cell, 2 feet by 4 feet, but occasionally let him out to go and break stones. Look at what these people went through for justice and freedom and for democracy. Why are we playing around it in Guyana? Why are we abusing it? Why are we making all these frivolous lawsuits with these lawyers that have been in school with me? They all got scholarships, you know. And that simple hire car driver, he sent me to study on his own sweat. We had a government scholarships, and he said, no, I'm not going to give you a scholarship. I am going to send you to school on my own sweat.
Good.
And that's why I stand there proud and independent. I never had a scholarship. And my father gave me a scholarship from his hard work.
Good for him.
And I do this advocacy on behalf of his memory. He would have been 90 today. He died at 76. But my father and my parents, they taught us right from wrong. They taught us to stand up in times like these. They taught us to stand up and be counted, that if you have gifts, you must use them. And I want to close with a Spartan thing that I went to Queen's College. I had a very good education. I went to school with the best. And we always were taught at Queen's College that to whom much is given, much is expected. To whom much is given, much is expected. So we are doing this, and you too can, given our talents and our commitments and our ideology to help to make the world a better place. You in your own field, and also in your radio program and in your field as a nurse. These, I want to compliment you and thank you for the work you're doing here, both outside of the studios and for going to all these 10,000 people, 12,000 people that we get, to inspire them, give them hope, and let them rise. This is what life is about. And we thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for being with us.
And, you know, in my closing, you know, I've been a nurse. I was checking up 35 years I start nursing.
35, wow.
And, you know, I used to, in the United States, in Harlem, I was working in a telemetry unit whereby I had patients who would come in with chest pain and people who will die, and you will see them lie there, and they're taking their last breath.
Wow.
And I have to be honest with you and myself, my audience. Sometimes I'm running to save that person. I'll pump their chest to make them come back. Some did, some didn't, and to start CPR. But sometimes while the doctors are there trying to do their things, I would stand there and watch that patient take their last breath. And I would observe, and in my mind, I'm saying as a young guy, I say, look at this. This person, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much education you have, no matter whatever you have, at the end of it all, when you're taking your last breath, nobody, nothing means nothing to you.
Indeed.
Nothing.
Indeed.
So I want to let my audience, and you know, I came as a poor guy. I'm just doing this couple months now with the Ken Rampersaud Show. And if anything that I want you guys to learn from this show is that to know that life is nothing. We are here today, we gone tomorrow. And when you're taking your last breath, everything means nothing to you. So guys, live your best life. Live every day like if it's your last day. On that note, I want to say thanks to all of you for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show. I also want to say thanks to our DJ Bolt for sitting with us here every night after night and playing the songs that you guys like. And to Mr. Albert Baldeo, I want to say thank you very much too for coming out and to let our viewers know exactly what's going on in Guyana, and we play both sides, you know, so they could enjoy it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Have a good night, everyone.
Nice being with you and the
Thank
audience.
Look down through your window, no big city lights, just greenery. I don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-A, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-A, one people, one nation, one destiny.
Come, let me take a walk with Brother Tiki. You'll see our landmarks and our monuments, they're so unique. The hybrid structure, the lighthouse, the tallest wooden structure, cathedral, 176 monuments, and the beautiful city hall. You know, with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. Big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces. Not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. You know you're on the road, one step closer you go. You know that you're a champion, let them watch you as you glow. No one can stop your vibes, all your powers are ignite. Let all the voices fade, now nothing will come in your way. 'Cause you are a ray of sunshine, everybody wants your sunlight. And you are a magic light bulb, everybody wants your brightness. Dark days will come and go, but you're still burning.
Mary Ann Lou, thank you very much. Thanks for watching, Mary Ann Lou. Samuel, it was nice having you on.
Can't stop your shine, one more breath towards your goal. Free, free, breathe, you're a champion, let them see what's in your blood. 'Cause you are